Hey guys, it's Quana back again with another review and a recap. Hope you guys are doing awesome. If you're like me, you have been a big fan of Bridgerton and you have been foaming at the mouth for season 3. Well, Netflix just dropped Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton Story, which is a prequel series telling about the romance between King George III and Charlotte. And this is definitely something to, tie the fans over until season. But Netflix might have bit off a little bit more than they were expecting, because this series was actually written by Shonda Rhimes and not merely produced by Shonda Rhimes. And Shonda put her whole bag of tricks into this series, and it might have just surpassed season 1 and 2 of Bridgerton, which I definitely think season 3 is going to be awesome. But this was good. This was so good. But in this video, I only want to talk about episode 1. This giving an opportunity for people who have been kind of on the fence or not sure if they should watch the series or haven't had opportunity to watch Queen Charlotte to not get the entirety of the series kind of spoiled for them. So no spoilers for episodes 2 through 6 in this video, and y'all go sneaking down into the comments and spoiling it. We're only going to talk about episode 1 in this video, but don't worry if you have been craving a breakdown of this entire season or series, because I don't know if this is a one-off yet or if they're going to continue with this. Don't worry, because I will have at least 2 more videos about Queen Charlotte dropping on this channel, one covering episode 2, 4, and then one for episodes 5 and 6. So without further ado, let's just get into all of the things that I loved about episode 1 of Charlotte. Now, this episode is entitled Queen to Be, and we meet Charlotte, who is living in Germany, in a province of Germany. Her brother, both of her parents are dead. She was raised by her brother, and he is negotiating her marriage to King George III of England and Ireland, because I believe at the time that this is going on, wasn't yet Britain and Ireland, or England and Ireland were not united as the United Kingdom as yet. I've been teaching a little bit around the Romance era right now, and not the Romance era, which is kind of like goes into Regency, and so they haven't become Great Britain just yet. So Charlotte learns that she is getting married to King George, and this is basically just a political power move. This is, first and foremost, let's just say Shonda was just in her writing bag for this whole entire series. Some of the best dialogue, some of the best monologue, and Charlotte delivers a monologue in this first main sequence that is stunning. Talking about the corsets and how they're made with whalebone and how she hailed herself on it. It's dramatic. It's giving me a little bit of like Eloise vibes, and that makes a lot of sense because I actually love the scenes with Eloise and Queen Charlotte in season 2 especially, and in season 1 of Bridgerton. So they definitely feel like elements of the same character, and it was giving me a lot of like Eloise kind of sass and attitude in that carriage scene. The dialogue moment of the episode when she says, I will bounce in this corset and bleed to death. Just first and foremost, like the inclusion of like modern day terminology, because to bounce, like she will bounce, like she will get about this carriage, but then she's literally talking about bouncing up and down so that the whalebone will stab her. Someone if they weren't thinking of that, if they weren't thinking of the connotation behind that, then I'd be surprised. I loved everything about that scene. Just also how stunning she looked in that blue. That blue was so gorgeous. One thing about Queen Charlotte is that the looks are just giving so much more, because by the time we get to like the Regency age of like Bridgerton, everything is very streamlined and very close fit. You don't hoops and things unless you're court. So the fact that we get to see the large dresses and the ambiance and the embellishment of all of the costumes in this particular show, so good. So and of course the young actress who's playing young Queen Charlotte, she has really mastered all of Golda, the actress who plays older Charlotte's mannerisms, and it's literally like they're just the same person. It's amazing. But then we get a flash to older Charlotte upon hearing the news of her granddaughter's death. Now I want you to remember this, because history lesson in history, This happened 1870. Okay, I want you to remember me. But I also must remind us that at the beginning of this episode, they do give a disclaimer that this is fiction. And Bridgerton has done a lot of things wrong, okay? And I said this in another video, my video for Bridgerton season 1, as much as I loved it, that upon doing Bridgerton, I kind of wish that they had never even addressed the notion of race, and that we were to understand that this was happening kind of in a fictionalized version of reality, or something along those lines of like 1997 Cinderella with Brandy kind of situation going on. At the time, I really wish they had done that, because the way it was handled in kind of a throwaway line, and then that was it without an issue. And then there was like no real occasion for everything that racially Simon's father, spoiler for season 1, Simon's father was worried about how like negligible their positioning was. It never really came up in conversation among anyone else, only the black characters. None of the white characters ever bring up Simon's race. And so it was very sloppily handled in season. And we're not going to talk about that other scene. It has no credence on anything that happened to Charlotte, that other problematic scene. But this, I really wish that the disclaimer that they put here, if they had put that in season 1, and then either made the decision to deal with race or to not deal with race, it would have made more sense. Because this is so heavily, I mean, we're talking about real people now. Bridgerton characters are fake. Queen Charlotte was a real person. King George, real person. Princess Augusta, real person. Those are real people who lived and exist. So they have to remind us that they're like taking history, but they're modifying it, but they keep some of the accuracy. And Charlotte's granddaughter dies, and this leaves a gaping void in who is going to succeed line of succession. If George dies, there needs to be someone to carry. But her telling her son George sorrow, prayers is like the meme, the talk of the town. People are going to be saying it like it. I kept thinking, how did we get to this point, Charlotte? Like, you are literally touching your son, sorrows, prayers, like not showing emotion. They do deal with that and to see like why she is that way, but hilarious. So finally, we flash back to young Charlotte again, and she's being examined by Princess Augusta, George's mom, who's examining her and very concerned. They are all very concerned with how brown Charlotte is, okay? And very much giving Meghan Markle and Harry like that conversation that went on about Augie's, how brown their baby was going to be, right? Like, oh, he's going to be brown. How brown is he going to be? You know, brownness is a dominant trait, and Black women have the Eve gene, and which our babies can come out looking like any version of the spectrum of color. And so they are very concerned with how brown she was, because I guess in the photographs that they had of her, she was not depicted as quite And then Charlotte meets young Brimsley. At first I was like, oh, he is much too adorable to be young Brimsley, but he definitely, I think the actor's name is Freddie, he proved himself so much as Brimsley, and I love the dynamic and the friendship that is developed over time with Charlotte. And then we get a very sudden flash over to a sex scene where some woman, and we pan down and we see it is a young Agatha Dansbury being pummeled by her old husband. Now, the actor who plays Lord Danbury in real life is a very distinguished looking and attractive man. The makeup that they put on this man to achieve this level of like, that this old man is like on top of her. And I kept thinking, for those of you who are familiar with The Color Purple, I keep thinking of that moment where Celie, father has died. The man that she thought was her daddy but wasn't her daddy has died, and she meets his wife. The wife is extremely young, old, and she's like, well, how did he die? And she covers the baby on top of me. I was like, this man is going to collapse on this woman at any moment, because he looks like he is 2 seconds out from the grave. Now we get to see her lady's maid, Coral, and as soon as that's done, we get to kind of see like, one, Agatha is using this moment to think. Like, she is definitely like completely zoned out from what is happening to her. She just takes it as like a fact. But immediately after that happens, her lady's maid is like, I'm running you a hot bath, clean yourself out, and you see that this is like their routine. But I watched this part again because she says something which is like, she spoke to the lady's maid of Bass. And if you remember from season 1, Lady Danbury was best friends and the godmother of Simon. And so I went into that part like, and really to wanting to see like a dynamic with them. And we'll talk about that later. But I was like, Easter egg, Easter egg. And then we go back to Charlotte, who is like freaking out because no one will talk to her about George. She hadn't seen this man. And she's like, am I really supposed to just like walk down the aisle and see this man for the first time? And I'm just going to be stuck with him no matter what. It really doesn't matter because her brother has already sealed this deal. Like her fate is sealed. And it really just shows like she really has no control over who she marries. It really establishes a dynamic that's so different from Bridgerton because it is really up to the luck of the draw if she is going to have a love match. Her husband, now we know from Bridgerton and from seeing Queen Charlotte and George together as their older selves that she has an affection for him, constantly worried about him dying. But we saw from season 1 of Bridgerton, Daphne and Simon have a love match, but Anthony wanted to marry her off to whoever she wanted to be with. And then we have a eventual love match too of Bridgerton. So poor Charlotte is freaking out and she's like, no, I'm gone. I'm not staying here. And so then we get to see like this cat and mouse chase where Brimsley is trying to find her without that he has lost the queen because he is supposed to be like on her like white on right. And that was just a funny sequence to me, trying to hide from the fact that he doesn't know where she is. And then we get to the cute. Now, Netflix released the scene of their meet cute like back in February around like Valentine's Day to like fulfill all of our needs for like minutes. So I already seen this. We've already seen this. If you've seen that, if you managed to stay away from it, good. Their meet cute is the best meet cute so far out of the television world because both Simon and Daphne and then Kate and Anthony they go from kind of like enemies to friends to lovers kind of arc. They don't have that. They just don't even know anything about each other. So their meet cute is more just like him being super impressed by how like smart she is, savvy she is, the fact that she's willing to like be independent. He is impressed by her. And I love that for them. I love that for them so much that like he gets to be impressed with her out the gate. And their sequence. And then there's a scene of him basically like where he's just like introducing himself. He wants to establish that he's not going to be the king to her. He's just George to her. And that he likes to farm. And he likes to look at the stars and hear all that he likes. She's impressed by him. We're just this stuffy king young fix, as the Brits would say. Shonda has been doing her homework on her rom-coms. And we know this. We know Shonda is a rom-com girl. She has said this. But it really reminded me of Notting Hill with Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant. The scene where Julia Roberts is standing and she's like, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy, asking him to love her, something like that. It reminds me of that scene where she's like saying, I'm not this big actress. I'm just this girl. And that's kind of where, and I love it. And so she doesn't run off. She doesn't go over the wall. She ends up showing up to the wedding and she gets to wear the dress that she wanted to wear. Take that, Princess Augusta, because her dress was bomb and fly and beautiful and gorgeous and definitely the best wedding dress that we have thus far. I'm really still hating on season 2 of Bridgerton and the fact that they did not a more Indian inspired look for Kate. I'm real and like for Kate and for her sister. Like I really want, I mean, we're going to play with the world. Just go ahead and play with it and give us the looks that we want. And this was the look that I wanted and it looked good. She wore the dress that she wanted. And then they go to the receiving line where everybody is walking out and receiving. And, oh, did I skip past their kiss when they are pronounced? The tingles, the chemistry, like, oh my gosh, it's there. And then we see her brother, Adolphus, has started to treat her like a stranger. He's like, yes, ma'am. Hope for some royal baby. I'll see you later. And she's taken it back. Like, you're my brother. You raised me. Why, we were close. Why are you treating me like? It really gave like season 1 Bridget, and also like reminded me of like one of the moms in Joy Luck Club kind of did that to her daughter. Like when she had it was like, you're not my daughter anymore. Like I'm raising you for somebody else. It really gave that. And it was really sad. That made me really sad. But then Charlotte remembers that she just married this fine man. And Beyonce Halo starts playing in the background and he takes her on like a carriage ride. I don't know if this is like where the tradition started, but like usually the royal couple takes this carriage ride through the streets of London around Buckingham Palace and whatnot. to their new residence or whatever, and the crowds wave and things like that. And that's kind of what happens here. So that was really cute right there. He takes her to Buckingham House. This is before it's Buckingham Palace. This is like establishing it as like the residence. And she's like, this is where we're going to live. And he's like, no, this is where and all of a sudden it is like the cold has set in, the veil has lifted, places have been changed, because he's like, no, you're going to live here. I'm going to go live in Q. I'll see you, deuces. And she's like, wait, we're not supposed to have like a wedding night? Like, she don't even know that what that entails, because they didn't have sex education back, just like we don't have education now. So no knowing. She didn't know, but she was just like, are we supposed to spend the night together? And he's like, oh, you want me to perform my marital duty? You're ordering me? And she's like, well, no, I'm not trying to pressure you into doing anything, but I just want to spend time with you. Like, we was kissing and chemistry and was flying and whatnot. Like, what happened? And so eventually she's like, fine, you want to act like this? I'm going to treat you like King George. And okay, sorry, the blinds are bobbing. Okay, so much better. She's like, fine, I'm gonna treat you like King George, and and you just go, I'll do my own thing. And so he leaves, and then we flash forward to older Queen Charlotte storming into the room where she's gathered all 13 of her living children. So we know somewhere along the line they gets it in a lot. And she's like, one of y'all needs to start working, having a baby. I've been arranging marriages for everybody else. Y'all need to get going, because your daddy is knocking on death's door and we need an heir pronto. I had 15 babies at some point, and there are 13 of y'all now. Somebody better start producing something. That is a lot of children. My God. And so now we get the like B plot of Queen Charlotte, which is her on a race to make sure that the royal line continues. This episode was just everything. It was good. It was entertaining. It wasn't boring. If you like my bestie, so if you're watching this, bestie, for you, if you were on the fence because season 1, you enjoyed it, you loved you some Reggae Jean Page, and then he left, and you were sad, and you didn't want to give season 2 a chance, now is the time to come back. Come back to the front of the line. Queen Charlotte is so good. It's so good. The writing so far is amazing. There's so much to love. The actresses are just so amazing. Like the actress who plays young lady Danbury, amazing, beautiful, stunning, 10 out of 10. So yes, let me know down below in the comments what you loved and enjoyed about episode 1. Remember, we're not spoiling none of the other episodes for anybody else just yet. We're only talking episode 1 and things that pertain directly that have already happened, so that we're not spoiling the rest of the season. And then just make sure that you come back for episodes 2 through 6. So you have to do what? Subscribe. And you have to ring the bell for notifications so that you will get reminded and you will know when I drop the next video. And also let me know if you like period dramas, because I will definitely cover some period pieces on this channel if you guys run the numbers up on this video. So I will see you guys in the next video. I gotta go to work. Toodles!